All right, everybody. We are back with another episode of Wealth for the Culture. It is your host, Ollie Brady. I've been having, if y'all don't know, I recently got my IA license, man. So I've been talking about it. Y'all done seen a couple people come on this podcast that's in the industry. I got another one. He out here running it up. Crazy ass story. Full circle moment, man. I was tuning in on my podcast like a year ago, back when my schedule was crazy hectic. And I was going through my messages. I ended up running. Y'all know I switched over to Twitter. I don't really get on Instagram too much no more at all. Besides keeping y'all updated on podcast drops. But this brother right here, man, Geralyn had hit me up talking about insurance adjusting. And back then I was focused on Turo and just my 9 to 5 and real estate, stuff like that. So it's crazy to see full circle. I chop it over this man. I hit him up. He had no problem giving me no information, bro. And you already know, man, I'm all about that. Somebody that's just willing to, spread the knowledge, man. And I understand sometimes you got to pay for that knowledge. Some people give you that shit off the strength. So for one, I just appreciate people that's willing to do that. Appreciate everybody coming to this podcast, man. Appreciate you for coming on. I got my guy Geralyn, insurance adjuster, also an investor here. Got some stuff going on. We're gonna dive into his story, man. Also have a whole bunch of questions about the IA game because a lot of people been asking me. I ain't got no answers really. He got some answers. He been doing this. He been doing this 5 years.
Yeah, so I got my license in February 2017.
Okay, so hey, you got all the game there. You got way more game than I'm gonna have. I can't tell nobody nothing but to go to this site and take a test. I can't give you no specifics, so I ask you this, bro. How you doing, brother? Appreciate you for coming on, man.
Man, I appreciate you having me. Like you said, it's full circle, dog. So when you sent me the message, it's crazy. You sent me the message, and I wasn't gonna say nothing. I wasn't gonna say that I hit you. I wasn't gonna say that I had hit you before until I got here. But then you hit me back. I was like, okay, he's seen it already. So, man, I definitely appreciate you having me. And it's dope that you got something like this for folks to be able to come on here and one, give the information of stuff that they do and how they do it. But then two, for folks to be able to just hear that shit. Like me, hop on Spotify, Apple Music, and be able to like take some real ass information that somebody give me and go apply it to my life. So I appreciate you for having me, dog.
Bro, I appreciate you for tuning in. I appreciate it's crazy when you start these podcasts where you don't be knowing like what's gonna happen with them. I don't even know who's gonna tune in, if anybody gonna tune in, if anybody gonna rock with it. So it's always good to like be able to connect with some people that's this expands your network like crazy already just doing a podcast. Because so many people want to talk to you now, they come to you. So it's been talking to somebody, especially people that's out here. We talk about the entrepreneurs and all that, but it's also like practical ways where you can still get a bag, working a regular job and use that to fuel your other stuff that you got going on outside of work. So that's why I definitely like talking to people like you that, everybody can't go start a business. And I tell people that like everybody can be an investor, everybody can't be a business owner. And investing ain't no overnight thing when it comes to, walking away and just having your time back and having financial freedom. So insurance adjusting, something that came on my radar. You was the first one you was the first one I've ever seen talk about it. From there, like I ran into the whole community on Twitter. It ain't really that common on, Instagram. You see a whole bunch of other stuff, but you don't see nobody really talk about insurance adjusting on Twitter. So what I like to do though, to start off all these podcasts, man, give everybody that may not be familiar with you, bro, give them a little bit of your background, what you do, all that. You come up, everything.
Yeah, man. I'm a regular guy, man. I'm born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, man. I live in Georgia now. I've been in Georgia since Hurricane Katrina. So I got to Georgia like 2006. Went to high school here. Went to Fort Valley State. Shout out to the HBCUs. And then from there, man, got into the workforce. Right. So I didn't originally start out as an adjuster. I started out my very first job, like out of college, was I worked 2 jobs. I worked at PetSmart and I worked at Dollar Tree. So I worked at PetSmart during the day and worked Dollar Tree overnight stocking. And then, from there I went to work at a car dealership, detailing cars. So I was working for Drive Time. And they basically had a lot where like, once they get the cars, repossession, whatever it is, they'll bring them in and we'll clean them up to be able to turn around and sell them. So I did that for a little while. But while I was working there, I was making like $11. And I had a kid and I had another kid on the way. And I was like, damn, I need some more bread. So I wanted to go. Somebody had told me about selling cars. So while I was working at Drive Time at like the hub where they got the cars in, I reached out to my general manager. I was like, hey, I see on Indeed they have a position, at another Drive Time location, trying to see what I got to do to transfer over there. So I transferred to another drive time location. Was there for a little bit. Didn't get into sales there. And then another position opened for sales at a Rick Hendrick dealership. So I worked there at an actual dealership selling cars. Rick Hendrick Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. I was there for like a year and did, decent selling cars there. And I think selling cars, I'll go back, like that's probably where I learned the most about finances. Just being in the dealership, right? And being in the dealership setting and seeing like, learning more about credit scores and learning more about debt to income, just learning more about like actual real world stuff and like how it works and how it apply and how like, you could have a bag, right? But if they say that your credit score 350, like, yeah, I'm sorry, boss man, we can't do nothing with you at all. So the dealership like helped open my eyes, one to that, but then two to also like folks making bread because like folks at the dealership, like I'll be telling folks all the time, if it's like school, you don't really know what to do, like go try to sell some cars, man, because folks up in there, you're gonna run into folks that make six figures, depending on the dealership selling cars, and it's not that hard. So now, like I said, I did that for a little while. And then the way I actually got into insurance adjusting, man, my mom, she was working at Publix when I was in high school, nothing crazy. And she had a friend who got into the business and kind of told her about it. And again, this is back in like 2017. So like, we not on Twitter. We ain't got no extra like folks giving us no information and shit. Like we real, she was real grassroots with it, right? Like Google your best friend. Like, let me try to figure this shit out. And she did, right? So I remember watching her, like seeing her, like I remember her trying to explain it to me, right? She was trying to explain to me what she was doing. And she was like, oh, you got to take these courses, take these classes and pay this. And then you'll be able to do that. And in my mind at the time, I didn't really understand it at all, right? I was just selling cars. At the dealership was crazy too, right? It's a lot of hours there. So I was working 60, 70 hours a week there. But she was trying to explain it to me. I couldn't really comprehend it. And I was like, it kind of sounded like a scam. I was like, you about to try to pay these folks how much bread for them to give you making how much money? I was like, I don't really know about that. Yeah. And then she, like I said, she kept studying. I think she failed her test once, passed it on the second time. And then she got deployed. She got a deployment where she got sent to Winter Haven, Florida. And I think she was making like $25 an hour down there. But, she working 60 hours a week. So with overtime, she went out there, she was working and, she would come back. So at this time we was in Georgia. So she would come back from Florida. It's like a 5-hour drive. She would come back. When she got out work on Saturdays, she would drive back up here for her day off on Sundays to kick it with us, to go back to go work for her next 6 days for Monday. And then, I started running the numbers. I was like, how much you make? What you doing? And then she started telling me what she making and she started telling me what she had the potential to make. So then my ears perked up like crazy. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, okay. All right. I believe you for sure now. Like, tell me more about what it is that you got going on. Right. So then she just kind of walked me through it, kind of told me like what I would need to do, how I would need to do it and stuff. And then, from there at that point, I was like, okay. I literally quit my job at the dealership.
Damn.
Like, yeah, it's, man. So when you said that about entrepreneurs, like some of it is like, at that point, looking back on it, right, I realized I jumped out too fast and bit off more than I can chew, right? Like I should have took my time, and because it's a process, right? Like you got to take, here in Georgia, I had to take a 5-day class. After I took the 5-day class, then I had to go take the test. Me personally, I failed the test twice, right? So like after you fail the test, you got to wait 2 weeks before you take it again. So it was a prolonged period from like when I quit my job to like, from when like, I quit my job to I'm about to go do this to like actually getting my first deployment. True story. And so I quit my job in December. I quit my job in December 2016. I got my first deployment in May 2017. So about 6 months for me to get started in there. And in that window, I ended up having to go back and like, all right, let me go find something else to do. Ended up going back and selling cars until I got my first deployment.
Okay.
But yeah, man, she had told me already, right? She was like, hey, the reason that she had to go to Florida is because like, again, this is in 2017 where they had hubs, right? So they had a hub in, for sure in Illinois. They had a hub here in Georgia, one in Dunwoody and Johns Creek. They had another hub in Phoenix, Arizona. They had another hub in Florida. And these were like actual locations, right? So this is where
so it ain't like now, like people just working from home.
No, everybody, yeah, man, y'all, it's gravy as hell now, right? Like everybody they send the equipment to your house and that's a wrap. Like before it was like, this is where your assignment is going to be at, and this is where you're going to be working at until that assignment is done. So like,
Okay.
she had already told me coming in, like, hey, you may have to go, you may have to go out of state. You may have to go out of state to get you some experience to get started, and then go from there. In terms of getting something else to where you're at home. So I already kind of had that in my mind. I had talked to my wife about it and everything. Like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. Kind of looked at the numbers already. Like, hey, if they say they're gonna pay me $25 an hour, at this point, man, this was before rent and everything had went crazy. So we was staying in a 2-bedroom. We were staying in a 2-bedroom apartment for like $800. It was gravy in hell. I was like, okay.
Nah, it's crazy, bro. Like this, man, this market, nah, bro. One bedroom would be like 2 bedrooms.
So we went from that. So it was like, okay, it's gonna work out. And then I got a call on. It's so crazy, man. I got a call with EA Renfro. My very first assignment was with EA Renfro, and I got a call. I had been working with a guy. Like, one thing I would tell anybody who knew, like, when you call in these firms, man, like, get to know their names, like, get to know like who it is that you're talking to, and be antsy and let them know, like, hey, I'm trying to work, right? Like, because they get paid, to put you to work. So you got to show some enthusiasm about wanting to work too. And my mom had told me that and everything. So, man, I got a call at like, literally, me and my wife was probably like 12 o'clock in the morning, man. We in bed asleep. I got a call, and he's like, it was Jeremy. He was like, hey, Geralyn, I got a deployment. This is probably like a Wednesday or Thursday. He was like, we need you there on Monday. It's in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
So, me, I'm in the bed asleep. I'm like, I've been waiting on this. Yeah, go ahead. Put me on the list. So I'll figure out the rest of it on how to get there. So, yeah.
Bro, I lived out there for a couple of years.
In Phoenix?
Yeah, I lived out in Phoenix.
That's what's up.
I was out there working.
Yeah. What? That's what's up. I was right in, I stayed right in Old Scottsdale.
Okay. Yeah, I stayed over in Chandler. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I stayed in Old Scottsdale, kind of by the Harkins Mall and stuff. Nice ass mall out there. It was nice out there. I had never been. This is my first time being out there and everything. So it was fun. It was a dope experience. They gonna pay me and everything. So yeah, I went out there. I was probably out there for like 3.5 months or so. And I was doing auto, right? And it was just call center environment, just inbound calls, and just helping folks, need help with rental, need help with finding out like where payments been. That was my very first introduction, like, assignment to working and doing that. Like I said, it was, I loved it at that point, right? Like, being out there, I was like, hey, this is, I felt like this is the life. I was like, you can't beat this. And at that point, like I said, I wasn't making high end pay, but to go from what I was making to the amount of less work I had to do, right? Because like selling cars and pounding the pavement, like chasing folks every day, and like, legit, like, hey, if I don't sell it's been 4 days since I sell a car. If I ain't sell no cars, like that took a toll on me personally, mentally, right? Because it's like, okay, you go on the 3rd day, you ain't sold a car. You like, oh damn, this next person right here, boy, you better sell a car. I'm about to beat your ass for you to buy this car, right? Because I got a family at home to feed. But getting out there, it took that pressure off, right? It was just like, you come to work, you know you're gonna be here. Yeah, you're gonna be here 60 hours a week. You could calculate your stuff for as long as you can calculate it out too. And yeah, man, that was my very first assignment. And I've been rocking. I ain't quit yet. Been rocking ever since in the field. So,
man, bro, that's first thing first. Congrats to my brother, because I mean, bro, a lot of people, they just think that they gotta grind and hustle all their life. Like, I was talking with you before we even got started on this podcast. Like, bro, people don't. There's a lot of people that don't understand working 2-3 jobs, having to like really go out there and grind, doing manual labor, not just having a luxury afforded to them to make their money just looking at, being on a computer all day. Some people really out there getting it, and a lot of people, and you ain't making nothing. That's another thing. Like, shoot, you mentioned your first job. I remember my first job out of college, man. I'm thinking I'm about to get paid. I can get a job, bro, making $11 an hour. And I'm just like, damn, this is it. Like, this is what I went to school for. Like, and people don't realize, like, it really is that rough, and over time, you got to figure out a way to increase your income. A lot of people think, oh, let me just go pick up another job. But nah, go get you a skill. That's what you end up doing. Like, you end up getting you a skill that you can fall back on for the rest of your life. Like, no matter what, you can tell your kids about this if they want to go do that. You can go put people on. Like, it's a whole bunch of avenues you can take with this once you get a skill. Because when you have a skill, can't nobody take that away from you. Like, a degree is good. I tell everybody, like, a degree is cool, depending on what the degree is in, especially with this job market. Like, when you go get you a skill, you're going to learn something especially from what I'm reading up on in the insurance industry, like a lot of people are about to start retiring. So it's a lot of opportunity for people, and they always seem to be hiring from what I know and from what the people I know in the insurance industry. Like I talk to them. So it's like, this is one of those jobs. It ain't tech. It ain't that. It ain't
It's
the
not.
sexiness of tech. But
Mm-hmm.
these people making money, they making money just like the tech folks. I mean,
Bags.
you
For
gonna
real.
work for a while.
It's
Like
the
you gonna
same
work. You can't
thing.
be afraid of working, bro. Like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
y'all, the problem is you lazy. But just get them an idea of what it like. I understand. Everybody understand you have to work your way up, but I mean, you talk about your first job in the door was 25 an hour. You working overtime guaranteed. So I
Yeah,
mean,
guaranteed.
these type of jobs, like 25 an hour, may not seem like a lot, but I'm seeing people increase that amount of money they're making an hour in just the first year up to almost upwards of $40 an hour. And you start talking about $40 an hour, you start looking at six figures.
Everybody ears should perk up. You hear $40 an hour
That's
because
what I'm
when you
saying.
talk
Like
about
OT, like now you talking about six-figure income,
mm-hmm.
and now you get to decide how you want to play your life out. So I mean, just give everybody like an idea. Like, okay, you've been in the game. You said 5 years. Give people an idea, kind of like what they can expect to make. After getting established in this industry, because that's something that's the first thing everybody want to like. How much can I make?
Yeah, I would say I don't want. I feel like I hear a lot of people say like potential is unlimited, right? But like it really almost is, right? So at this point, I would say the most I've seen, like the most I've seen on an assignment request where they're like, "Hey, do you want to come work this assignment?" Like with my own two eyes is like $1,200 a day to work, right? The most that I've made on an assignment, I had an assignment where I was working I was making like between 6 and 650 a day is what the contract was
So you
for.
said 1,200 a day?
That's what I saw. That's not what I've actually personally worked. The most that I've
Okay.
personally worked on an assignment is like I said, like between like 6 and 650 a day. But again, that I wasn't working 6 days with that. I was working 7 days with that. So like it's in terms of like, yeah, the money's there, man. A lot of it comes with experience and a lot of it comes with networking, right? Like, folks, those high paying positions not going to people who have no idea what they're doing and don't know anybody, right? Like those positions is going to folks who at least have some understanding of how a claims work and how that process works. And then they probably have somebody who says, "Hey, I have this position right here. Would you be interested in it?" Even if you've never done it before, right? Which is kind of how I got mine. The assignment that I worked was a commercial property gig. Like I said, it was like $600 a day, but it just came through networking, right? Like I just was and again, 2017, man, we in the office, right? So you got to think when they bring in people on assignments right now, they're like, okay, we brought in 100 people on assignment, and they sending out equipment to 100 people at their houses. We used to be 100 people deep, and Ashford Dunwoody, like, hey, everybody be here at 7 o'clock in the morning. We about to get started. So like being in the presence of people, allowed you to network, allowed you to meet people. And how long you been doing this? Like, you've been doing this 25 years. God damn, I ain't 25 years old yet. Like, and being able to see that, like, okay, y'all make bread and been making bread for a long time, right? Like, so being in the office, man, I used to be easily one of the youngest folks in there. The age group in there was definitely a lot of older folks. And being frank, it was just a lot of older white men, right? It's just a lot of, I would say, folks in the 40s, 50s. Oh, we've been doing this for 40, 50 years and just, just that. So when you say okay, it's folks leaving, like, yeah, it definitely makes sense, right? Because I saw it with my own two eyes walking in the offices, and like, it's already not a lot of us. I'm young as hell, by far the youngest folks in here. And a lot of these folks in here, man, two things, it'd be like, they be old, but they be deep too, right? And when I say deep, I'm talking about like who's working there. Like I remember my first assignment being in Phoenix, man. I was sitting next to like whole families, like, oh yeah, it's me and my
bro.
mom,
This industry,
and that's my
bro.
dad.
Don't nobody hear about that. Like I ain't never heard about the furthest I heard about insurance. Like when I even heard about this, earlier, middle of last year was just like, or beginning of last year, it was just like, okay, I'm thinking you selling insurance. I ain't. Like
Everybody,
that's all you
everybody.
think about. Like I ain't never thought about like, oh, they really out here handling. I didn't even think about. Oh, they got claims. They need somebody to handle this stuff. And this is to me like one of them industries like don't nobody talk about. It's just like when you get in and you figure it out, you just put your people on and you just keep it moving. And that's why I think it's crazy
we've
now.
been doing that. And we've been doing that, man. We've been doing that, putting our people on and keeping
Bro,
it
I'm seeing
moving,
so many
man.
people now, they flooding this mug, bro. And I mean, like I said, this ain't got to be your forever thing. But, bro,
That's
most of
it.
us in our 20s, man, like, most people that tune in in their 20s, even if you're in your 30s, like, you still young. Like, you could change the whole trajectory of your life, man. I don't think people say you
Your
can change the
kids'
whole
life, your
trajectory of
whole
your life.
family life, all of
And
that.
literally in just a year. If you willing to put in some work, I mean, heck, you slaving every day at work anyways. You may as well go grind it out and put in some work so you can start find you some type of path that's going to afford you what you deserve, man. Because at the end of the day, everybody deserves to be, be able to do what they want to do and provide for their family. So why not take the chance on yourself? Because that's all this really is. It's just about betting on yourself. You bet on yourself. You said it took you 5 months or 6 months to get a job. But at the end of the day, you got it. And now you talk about you just seen 650, 700 a day. Like, bro, there's some people that's never gonna see that in their life. Like some people they ain't even got the capacity to think about making those $700 in a day. So that's why I just want everybody to understand that.
Yeah, and I did it right. I come from like I said, I born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, right? Like we don't come from a ton, right? So like for my mom when she got into this, man, like this was by far the most bread she ever made when she got into it, right? But obviously she's a lot older, right? So she's in her 40s and making the most bread that she's ever made in her life at 40 years old, right? Which, when you think about it, it sound late, right? Like it do sound like, dang, like that's really, really late and really, really behind. But shit, at this point, we don't care, right? Like we finally found it, right? Like she don't work at Publix no more, right? Like we got it, like we got it and we getting it taken care of. My dad got his license and everything, bro. Like we not taking it for granted, right? Like how we didn't got here because we didn't came a long, long way to get here.
No, that's crazy to me. And so, bro, I'm about to start. We're about to really get into this because I got questions. I don't have people hit me up with questions, bro. And so this is why I want to. First off, let's keep it real simple. Tell everybody like what they need to do to get into this business, like licenses and all. Like to give them the step by step, just when you just get started. What do I need to do if I want to be an insurance adjuster?
Yeah, you definitely gonna want to. It's gonna be based on your home state, right? So wherever you live at, you're gonna definitely want to, like I said, Google your best friend, man. You're gonna want to go see what's the qualifications for my actual state, right? So, like I said, in Georgia, it's a couple ways you can do it. You can take an actual class. They have a 5-day class. It's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or I think they hold it on like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the next Saturday, Sunday. But you basically got to take that class to be able to take the test. And then I know you did it in the state of Texas. I know some states are not licensing states, right? So states that are not licensing states, you have to get what's called a reciprocal license for another state, right? So like if you're in a state that's a non-licensing state, you probably take the Texas exam to be able to get your license.
Good. Let me ask you, like, what states do you recommend for those people that ain't got they don't have a state where they need a license? What states do you recommend people to look into for their designated home state?
I would probably say Texas, man. Ideally, I would say Texas. From what I've heard and the people that I talked to, again, I didn't have to go that route, but just being in the industry and talking to people, like a lot of people say Texas is the way to go. And I know right now a lot of different companies are allowing people to, allow you not to have to go to like a actual place and take the exam. You can actually still take the test at your house too, which is still a win, right? Like it's okay. I don't want to say it's way too easy at this point, man, but I'll be looking at it now. Like in 2017, we had to jump through a lot more hoops to be able to get in and be able to find out about this.
Bro, I'm gonna just put like for everybody listening, I just got my license for Texas. I got like 3 licenses right now. I got 2 pending, probably about to cop 2 or 3 more for right now until I get a deployment, and I'm getting some certs. But what I will say for me personally, I'll say you probably knock out the Texas test, and I'll say if you like got a job and everything, you got other stuff going on. It took me 3 weeks. The first week I had COVID, so I was really out of it. So the first week I had COVID. 2 weeks later, and I was off and on between work, running a business I'm getting started up, and all that, and I still was able to get it done in 3 weeks total. Passed on the first try. I used adjusterpro.com. I will tell y'all this though, that practice test, Don't do like I did and try to go memorize all them answers. Understand the concepts, man, of the actual like what you doing with every claim and all the because in Texas you got so much stuff like I didn't even realize they got aviation, crop, hell, they got workers comp. Like it's so much stuff you don't even be thinking about. It's just like
Mhm.
you got machine and boiler. Like it's just like bro, like it's so many different avenues you got, and they doing all of
Marine,
that.
all kind of stuff.
Yeah, you got I see Marine. I'm just like, bro, like you start seeing all
Mhm.
this stuff, you trying to remember everything instead of understanding the whole concept. Because generally, the concept kind of is the same throughout once you understand what's going on. So I tell everybody now, like, I mean, I ain't no expert in them, but I just took the test and all, and I'm just like, understand the concept. So we're trying to like, most of us will go in trying to remember the whole practice exam, thinking, oh, we take this about 5, 6 times. We don't see every question we can see. And when you get to that actual test, it's a whole different game. I mean, yeah, you could have you got two options for the test. You can either go somewhere where you got like it's like in person or whatever. You have somebody there to supervise you, or you could just have a friend at the crib that's no like no relation to you to be there. I did that. I had somebody I knew came to the crib, monitored me while I took the test. But it was hard. Like I got a 70 on the dot. Man, you talk about the happiest feeling. That came out to the last question for me, and I didn't even realize. I thought I had failed it. So that's why I tell everybody like understand the concepts because I like afterwards, like I started like really looking at it after I took the test just to understand things. But I just tell everybody understand the concepts of insurance over trying to memorize and stuff because it's a little bit more to it than that. Like, yeah, the general thing after you do, it's like I feel like I don't know. I'm gonna ask you like, what is when you handling claim stuff? Like, what is the thing? Because to me, it's just like I guess it would be repetition once you actually get into the industry.
Yeah, it's a. I had a manager. They used to say, a claim is a claim is a claim, right? So you handle everyone kind of the same way, right? Like at the beginning, we don't really know nothing, right? So we got to get what's called the facts of loss, which is basically just finding out what's going on, right? And that's for every claim, right? Whether it's an auto claim, I've done commercial, I've done property, right? Like it start right there. It start with you talking to somebody on the other line to figure out what's going on. And then from there, policy play a part, right? Like, okay, this is what we have, this is what we don't have. But I think what you said is big, right? Like understanding, okay, like how does this work? Like, what is the process for each one of these? Is the big thing. But yeah, it's more repetition than anything, man. Once you get in and start doing it like I said, it's gonna be little stuff that change, on each policy and each claim. But you're gonna handle each claim the exact same way. You're gonna handle each claim with getting as much information as you can, and then document the file really good every single time. Contacting whoever it is that you need to contact to get additional information, for whatever it is. And it is just repetition, man. The more you do it, the easier it gets. Next thing you know, you be 5 years doing it in your sleep.
I do have a question, like, because I probably skipped over this. Like, explain to everybody, like, what is insurance adjusting? Because, like I said, a lot of us, like, I know when I first heard, I'm thinking, oh, you just selling some health insurance and life insurance. So, like, like explain to people, like, what is this?
Yeah, man. So it's like I relate it easily. Like a lot of people, most people have either been in that car accident or know somebody who's been in a car accident, right? So like that person on the phone with the insurance company that help you fix your car, like that's what my job is. Like that's exact. That I'm the person that you call, right? So like you get in an accident, you're like, hey man, somebody just hit me. I'm trying to call my insurance and see what's going on. Like I'm that person that take a look at your
Okay.
policy and be like, hey, see here you got $500 deductible. See that you either do or do not have rental. Everybody, please get rental added to your auto policy if you don't have it, because you can be a mad person when you assume that I have rental and you on the phone with me and
Man.
I'm like, I don't see it on the policy right here. You might want to talk to your agent's office. The agent's office is gonna tell you, yeah, it wasn't on there. You think that your insurance just cheap for fun? Your rental coverage can cost you like $16 a month. Go get that.
No, bro, hold on, bro. You really saying something right there because I'll never forget. I didn't get rental reimbursement. This is when I lived in Phoenix. I remember I hit something on the freeway, messed my whole car up. I didn't have it, bro. I had to come out of pocket for that rental, and that thing was in the shop for like 2 weeks.
See,
Bro,
and
you
fuck.
talk about you ain't making that much money at the time. Well, you be hurt. Like, yeah, you be happy because your car getting fixed. You pay your little $500 deductible, but then, bro,
I
you got
just
to
shut
go
out
get to work
1,500 for a
still.
rental.
You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? And then you sitting there like, damn, I could have just got another car for this. So yeah, I definitely get that rental reimbursement. That right there, bro. Like that one experience, I can't get insurance without that. Like I gotta have it
Mm-hmm.
though. Like it ain't even
Yeah.
worth saving the money.
And that's how most folks figure out. Most folks figure out that they don't have rental once they realize they don't have rental, which at that point is too late, right? Like when you call me and you're like, hey, I got in an accident yesterday, my car gonna be in the shop the shop telling me it's gonna be 6 weeks and my car not drivable and you don't got rental on it. It's literally nothing I can do, right? Because you sign your premium with your agent, like, hey, this is my insurance, like that's a bonding contract. So like if you don't got rental in there ain't nothing we can do. Now it's different if, like you like, oh, I have it on file that I was supposed to talk to my agent. I was supposed to have rental. That's a different story. But like if you just don't have it, you just don't got it.
Okay. So basically, these are the people that's determining if y'all get paid or not, man. When y'all be calling, trying to say y'all got hit and all this, or something happened to your house. Basically, they determine like, hey, he gonna get paid or he ain't gonna get paid. It is what it is. So, I mean, they can't be biased or nothing like that. So don't think they have to get you. I mean, they just doing their job at the end of the day. But
That's it.
I do have a question. So, all right, took your test, passed your test. What steps do you tell people that they need to go to land their first deployment? Like, what's the next steps after you get your license?
I would definitely say certifications.
Okay.
So a lot of it goes into it too. Like when we talk about trying to get work, right? So like, I would say our peak season, right, as an adjuster, and it depends on what you're doing, right? But like most people in the industry, when you talk about adjusters, a lot of time they're talking about cat work, right? Which is a lot of times tied to hurricane season, which is from June 1st to November 1st, right? So ideally, right, the best time to come into the industry is going to be during that time right there because, I'm from Louisiana. We get hurricanes almost every single year, right? So every time there's a hurricane that comes through and knocks something out, like all of these firms are scrambling, like looking like, hey, we need, we're projected to have 7,000 planes come in. Like we need people in here to handle these. And sometimes you'll hear the word, they'll say just warm bodies, which a lot of times is just, that's good for anybody who knew, right? Like if you hear them saying like, oh, firms just need warm bodies, that is a great thing to hear, right? Because that means that we need people to come in and basically, a lot of insurance companies have timelines, right? So they'll have a timeline that says like, oh, okay, we have this brand new claim. We want contact made with our insurers within the first 24 to 48 hours, right? But if you don't have the capacity to be able to do that and meet that timeline for all of these folks, that means we need additional people in here. And sometimes people are brought in just for that, man. I've seen some people come in. Some people work assignments that's just there for 3 weeks. And that 3 weeks that they doing, man, is just, they literally just reaching out and contacting customers for those first 3 weeks because that's what the insurance company need, right? Like we got all of these claims that ain't been touched yet. We need somebody to come in and start working on these and moving them towards closure. But biggest thing I would say when I tell people to get started, man, is definitely get your certifications, as many as you can.
So which ones you recommend? Give me some recommendation, bro. We need all the songs.
What
song you recommend?
Man, I mean, so it's personal preference, right? I know me and you was talking earlier before we got on about like, what it is that you want to do, right? So if you somebody who like, hey, I think I'm interested in getting on roofs, I would definitely say go take a rope and harness certification, right? Because that's going to do two things. That's one, going to test you and see like, hey, but you're going to practice. You're going to go get on the real roof and tie up and harness up and you're going to get to see what it feel like, right? Like, do you feel comfortable being on the roof with a string holding you up, right? Like I say a string, but it's like, it's meant to hold you up, but that's what it is when you get up there, right? So like me personally, I got out there, I have that certification, but I'm not somebody who want to go get on no roofs at all, right? Like I have a personal thing. Yeah, I have a personal thing. But for me personally, like I did mobile homes over the summer, and I think that's the most roofs that I'll do, period, is just getting on the mobile homes. And even getting on top of them, like with a ladder and shit, some of them I'd just be up there looking like, man, this is not nowhere I want to fall from. And what am I doing out here? It's hot as hell on the roof. Like, and this is in Louisiana. I'm in Louisiana, middle of the summertime, just working on roofs, right? On mobile homes. But is that you have to see also what it is that you want to do, as a person, as you start digging into it and trying to figure out, where it is that you want to be. So if you want to go outside in the field, which is what they call it, which is actually going out and doing the inspections, right? So like so many different avenues in the business, man. But like what I do right now is be called desk adjusting, right? Which means I sit at my computer and I handle work. Field adjusting would be the folks who actually go out, right? So like, let's say a tree or a tornado come through and knock a tree on your house, right? The person who come out and take pictures of the damages at the house and write their estimate out there, that's called the field adjusting. So a lot of it is going to be tailored to that, right? Like, what is it that you actually want to do, right? Like, do I want to go outside and be in the field, or do I want to be inside? If you want to be in the field, I'd definitely say, rope and harness certifications, Xactimate and stability training for both are great to learn how to be able to look at and read estimates. Certifications wise for inside, man, obviously one of the largest insurance companies in the United. I think it is the largest insurance company in the United States, the State Farm. So they hold the auto and the property certification, and that's for inside. And that's something I would suggest for anybody. If you brand new and you're interested in it, I would say grab the State Farm auto and grab the State Farm property certification. And they'll do two things, man. You can get both certifications, but you can also see like what it is that you like, right? Because at the end of the day, it comes down to that, right? It comes down to what each individual person like preference is, right? Like, oh, do I like this or do I like that, right? Like some people, I had a background, working at the dealership about cars, right? So part of it for me was like, okay, that's kind of that seems like a really easy transition for me to go from like, oh, okay, cleaning cars, selling cars, to having some type of knowledge about cars in general, right? Like some people have a construction background. A lot of people with construction background transition really well over into insurance adjusting because they already know, right? Like they already know what it takes to build a house. They already know what it takes to do X, Y, Z. So a lot of those people are, really easy to transition over. I heard you say something about the USA certification. That's a good one. I know Allstate has certifications as well that are good. Most of the firms, if you reach out to them and say, hey, what carriers do you have that offer certification that I can take? Most of them are free, and they want you to take the certifications because the more certifications that you have, if the carrier requires you to have the certification and you've taken it, well, now I have somebody else that I can potentially send on this assignment. Whereas if I haven't, you don't have the Allstate certification, we don't have one coming up this week right now before this assignment and we can't get you in. So you're not able to actually do that. Where it's like, oh, okay, I took that certification 2 months back. Oh, perfect. We have a position filled that requires you to have that certification. And you can go ahead and get that position in. So.
Okay. Now, I know everybody, main things I hear is kind of on brand what you're saying for the most part. And then everybody starts saying, start getting on rosters. What's your recommendation? Like, how many do you suggest, and how often? All right, okay. So I'm glad you said that because I know a girl, Adrian. Y'all seen her on this podcast before, twice so far. She got a list of 100 adjuster firms. Do you have anything you sell, sir? Do you have anything?
Man, I don't have nothing, man. If I be honest with you, bro, a long time ago, I sat down and I was thinking about it and trying to put it together, and it just was like. For me, it felt like a lot of work, and then too, it felt like I was asking myself, right, like coming from where I come from, like, was I going to charge folks for the information that I got? And to this point, the answer's still been no. Which is why I just be out here. Anybody who will listen, I'll tell you how to make it, how to do it, right? But I don't got no course, I don't got no Discord. I don't got nothing like that for you. Goddamn, come get it. Yeah, you can shoot me a text on Twitter, IG. I answer all your questions, but I ain't got no actual hey, this is no paid promotion or nothing like that, man.
Got you. I mean, I've taken a course. I actually took it afterwards just because I think Steven got a course. If y'all know who that is, Steven Story. Adrian, she don't really have a course. What she doing is she putting out call scripts and like guides, and she kind of giving y'all like a whole rundown of stuff. She got a list of like over 100 firms. I got that list. I paid somebody on Fiverr like $80 to go apply to all them firms. So the lady did it in like 4 hours. So I mean, she sent you screenshots back. I think it's like if you in Steven's course, they got a Slack group, real helpful. Because I mean, Geralyn can't always be here to answer every question y'all got. I bought the course solely just to get the Slack group because I already have my license. So I really, didn't need too much more. I mean, Adrian kind of been helping me out through and through, step by step. You've been helping me out as well. So I mean, I didn't really need a course, but there's other options if you want to take that. You want to pay a little money for it. Like I said, I don't knock none of it. Some people give it out on the strength. Adrian, she been like, hey, y'all been a blessing to me, man, because I hit y'all over the question, like y'all get right back to me. So I just kind of go off that. Slack group as well on Steven's course is great. It's like 1,600 people in that mug, so it's always somebody there that's going to answer your question. Yeah, they got a gang of people in there that'll answer your question, or you post a question, you'll probably have a response, in about 5-10 minutes, if that. So I suggest that. I'll put Adrian's link down there. I'll put Steven's link down there in the show notes as well. So my boy ain't got no course or nothing. You can hit him up if he can get back to you. I don't know how flooded his DMs get on this just yet. I mean, like I say, I'm fresh on Twitter, so I'm just creeping up. I don't even know. I don't even pay attention to followers like that, but I think I got like a little bit now. I'm starting to get questions that I can't answer because I don't know enough. So Y'all hit him up, all of that. But back to all these questions I got because so you talking to man, it's different for you because you started off like before this was popularized or whatever. So what's your thing like? Have you ever done a thing where you may or may not have? I don't know if you can. If you can't answer, that's cool. I've heard of rumblings of people working multiple deployments at once. You want to say your 2 cents on it, give some free game because maybe you can't
Yeah,
do that,
nah.
and I don't
Hey
know.
man, look, it's some people say it's frowned upon, some carriers say it's frowned upon, right? So you got to know what it is that you're dealing with. Um, all right, so true story, right? We're gonna go back to 2020. 2020, I was working with a company, and they actually offered me, second assignment. They said, hey, they were the ones who offered me the commercial assignment. I was already working with them. They said, a manager called me. He said, I got a position for you. If you think you can handle it and do both, I got another one for you if you want to take it. So, me, I'll be looking for the bread. I'm like, shit, yeah, send it this way. Send it to me. Yeah. So like they had no problem with it at all, right? I've heard of some companies that don't like, hey, the answer to them is no, right? Like if we find out that you work in 2 assignments, like you will be fired. With the folks that I was working with, that wasn't the case. I was on one assignment and then they was like, hey, I got another one. Do you want to take it? And obviously I took that shit. Story get a little deeper too. So I was working both of those assignments, right? I'm just out here. I'm like, let me get some more money. Let me get some more money. So then I took a third assignment, which is some crazy ass shit I should have never, some crazy stuff I should have never did. So I took a third assignment. So it's like, for the most part, kind of like 3 different ways you can get paid, right? Like you get paid on an hourly basis. You can get paid on a per claim basis, which is on each claim that you close. And you can get paid on a day rate. So in 2020, I was getting paid on all 3. I was on 3 assignments. I was on one assignment, I was making the day rate, making like between $600 and $650 a day. On another assignment, I was on a per claim basis where I was making, I think on each closed claim, I was making like $150 a claim. But those claims was really churn and burn, right? So I was closing a good bit of claims a day. And then on the third one, I was on an hourly basis where I was making $24 an hour. So them screenshots that you see on Twitter, like that's from the summer of 2020 where like the world was falling apart everywhere, but I was balls to the wall, grinding my ass off because I was like, hey,
that's like $1,000 a day. Yeah, dang.
Yeah, but true disclaimer, right? Like, this shit is that is I was probably working, probably legit 16, 17 hours a day. I'm not bullshitting on those hours, right? Like I'm legit working 15, 16, 17 hours a day, right? Cause it's, the firms don't care, right? That I got multiple assignments. They care that I get my work done, right? So, on the one that I was working on a per claim basis, right? Like if I'm working hourly and my hours is from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. At 8 p.m. I got to be done working. They don't want me doing no work after that time, right? When I'm working on a per claim basis and they say, hey, whenever you get this claim closed, you get paid. If I'm up working at 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning or 12 o'clock at night, like they don't care, right? Like as long as you get it done, you can get it done. So them hours look like that because I had a set amount of time that I had to do for my hourly. And then I had one that I was getting paid daily. The one that it was daily, they don't get the time. What time you working until 2? We paying you for the day. So if it take you until 11 o'clock to get it done, we don't care, get it done. And then I was working on a per claim basis where it was just like, hey, whenever you get it done, get it done. So it was, I don't want to understate like how stressful that shit was for me at that time. And eventually at some point, it got too stressful to where I was like, oh damn, okay. I did try to hire some help, as much as I could for somebody that didn't have a license at the time, just more so, I guess they were just more so admin, right? Like just trying to help me keep my shit in order as I was balancing these 3 assignments. But it did get to a point where it was too overwhelming and I had to end up like, okay, it's not going to work. Let me go ahead and let them know that it's not going to work. But yeah, man, it's definitely, it's doable, right? Like if you can find it to make it work, right? Like it's definitely something that's doable.
You over here making like 7 bands a week.
Man, I got in 2020, bro. This is me, a couple of my homeboys. I remember texting in probably like 3 weeks in a row. I was like, man, I got the biggest check of my life, 3 weeks straight. Like,
bruh.
And it was my friend. And this is, I had been in the industry for a minute, but that was the first time I ever did that, right? So it was like, I'm like, damn, I'm like, hey, bro, y'all see this right here, bro? Like, you see this right here? Like, and that was like, during that time, man, I had never got a, I had never got a 5-figure check in my life, right? Like, it was my first 5-figure checks, and I rattled off.
You got 5-figure checks?
I rattled off a couple 5-figure checks. I'm telling you,
bruh, y'all.
Like, I'm
how
telling
often y'all get paid about a week, about weekly?
So on that assignment, I was because I was working with one company that gave me both of those. They was paying me for both of those assignments simultaneously. So I was getting paid, every 2 weeks for 2 assignments.
All right, hold on, bro. That man making 5 figures about.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. Yeah. It was work though. Don't like you said at the beginning, right? Like, don't think that it ain't no work.
Hey, bro, I don't think nobody cares. They working 60 days. They gonna come with 10 bands after that.
For real.
Bro, I don't work harder for less. So I know it's a bunch of people out here that had that same situation. All right, because this is what I want you to also talk about, because most people I know they're going in the desk adjuster and stuff like that. And you say you're a desk adjuster. Can you kind of just give people a breakdown of what a day in the life is like working as a desk adjuster? After you finish training and everything, like, just so people kind of have an idea what to expect when they get into this, because a lot of people are just getting started.
Yeah, man, it's going to vary, on what it is that you're working, right? Because again, when we talk about claims, man, it's claims from auto claims to property claims to injury claims to workers' compensation claims to crop claims. So it's going to vary day to day. But like I say, man, it's mostly phone calls, man. You mostly phone calls and looking at policies, right? So it's like, if you get a new claim across your desk, let's say you claim owner, they put you in a position where, like, hey, you the claim owner of these 30 claims we're going to give you. These are 30 insureds. You're going to start your day with going through the process of, like, okay, let me open this claim up and see what's going on, right? So, like, okay, going through the facts of loss. Okay, I see here some wind blew a tree branch on the insured's roof. You say that it's leaking down and, it's raining, it's leaking down into his house. You can pick up the phone, give a call to the insured, find out exactly what's going on, probably go over mitigation with them, right? Like, let them know, like, hey, at this point, so you don't incur any additional damages, let's go ahead and get somebody to come out and tarp the roof. You can pay for that out of pocket. We'll reimburse you for that, but let's just try to stop the bleeding right there. But it's, it's you're on the phones a lot. You're on the phone. So customer service is big, right? You want to be able to have and give good customer service to folks, because they paying, right? Like, all of us pay premiums every single month for whatever the insurance is, right? So you want to be able to give the folks, that is calling and do need help, right? You want to be able to give them their money's worth, right? Because folks, at least me, right? Like, I hate shelling out some money and not feeling like I get my worth for what it is that I'm paying for. So customer service in the industry is big. But it's that, man. It's just a lot of reading. I wouldn't say it's a ton of, like, oh, I need to be able to comprehend and understand this. There's a lot of customer service, man. Especially if you're a claim owner. Right now, I work in a team environment, right? So, like, I would say for anybody who's getting started, if you can find something that's in a team environment, in my opinion, that's a win, right? Because as a claim owner, what that means is, like I said, that means that they're going to give me 30 insureds and they're going to say, hey, these are your insureds, right? So that means every time that person pick up the phone and got some questions, like, it's my line that they're going to call every single time, right? Like, I'm the person that they need to talk to. Whereas right now, I work in a team environment, and they'd be like, hey, I need somebody to issue this payment. I just issue the payment and that's it, right? Like, I talked to them one time. And for the most part, never talked to anybody. Like, I've been on this assignment right now since October. And I ain't talked to a customer twice, right? So for me,
you doing auto or?
I am doing auto. Yeah, I'm doing auto right now. So I've been on this one since October. I ain't talked to a customer twice. So for me personally, it's easy. It was easier for me as I started looking at, like, because it's a lot of hours. So you got to start looking at it and saying, like, okay, where does it feel like it's draining on me yet, right? Like, what is it that I do like? What is it that I don't like? As I got in and I started working, I realized I didn't like the attentiveness that I had to be to some people, right? Like, some folks is, they need a lot more attention, right? Like, some people might call you 4 times in a day, right? So if somebody hand me 50 insureds, and I got 5 of them who want to call me 5 times in a day, right? Like, for me, that was way too overstimulating for me. I'm like, damn, I just got off the phone with you. I'm on the phone with somebody else. You calling me again right now? Like, it's like, like, it was just way, in my opinion, at that time, felt like it was too much for me to be able to be like, dang, do I still want to? Is this it? Do I still want to do this? So instead of being like, oh yeah, I'm not doing this at all. Period. It's just like, okay, let me go see. Let me go try something else. Let me go try another avenue. Let me go see how this works. Let me go see how this fit. Let me go see if I like this. So at this point, man, I've tried I ain't gonna say a lot of different things, but I've definitely tried to try different things in the industry so I can get a feel for what I like, man. Because I'm like, if I'm 5 years in right now, man, I could make this like 10, 15 years from now, man. Once I'm comfortable as hell and I know where I want to be at, like you ain't gonna be able to tell me nothing, right? Because I'm gonna know, I'm gonna know what it is that I like. I'm gonna know, how I like to work it, and I'm gonna try to stick with that.
Okay. Now you mentioned you've been on this deployment since like October. So like, what's like a average on like how long somebody? Because it's still like at the end of the day, like contract work, I guess. You take like a contract.
100%.
So what is something that people can expect to like? How long can somebody expect to be on a job or a deployment?
Man, that's the question that I used to ask everybody when I first came in. Man, I remember being in Phoenix, Arizona. I was like, I'm asking everybody around us. I was like, hey, I just came out here and flew out here from Georgia. How long do y'all usually be out here in places like that? 'Cause I ain't trying to be out here for 10 days and go home. But again, it's it's not, I don't have this. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I don't have an answer for that, right? Like there's no set definite of how long it's going to be because it is contract work, right? So it's based on supply and demand, right? So like, if you come into an assignment, let's say you come into assignment, they bring you into an assignment on projection. Let's say they bring you into an assignment on projection, right? So let's say hey, we think a hurricane's going to hit Louisiana. We're going to bring in all of these folks, and let's say that hurricane shift, right? So let's say that projection changed. So let's say, hey, we were anticipating 10,000 claims. Hurricane shifted 50 miles to the west. We only anticipating 3,000 claims. At that point, they probably going to be looking to make cuts, right? Because it wouldn't make sense for us to have all of these folks that we brought in for 10,000 for us not to. So when I say it varies, man, it really does vary based on the actual assignment, right? But at this point, I think I haven't been on an assignment that I'm gonna say that I didn't want to be on. I would say for anything really less than like 90 days. So I had a couple of assignments that I got into that I wasn't a fan of. That I was like, okay, y'all having cuts this week, y'all go ahead and send me home if y'all want to, right? Because that's always an option too, right? Like
Okay. So how does that work with
facts.
getting cut? Like I know I hear people saying they self-release, but I also hear people getting cut for the wrong reasons. So like, what do people need to worry about so they don't get cut for the wrong reasons?
Yeah, man.
And how does that look when you self-release? Does that look bad? Like, how does that work out?
Yeah, a lot of it is context, man, right? So it's like, I've had when I was working those 2 assignments during the summer, or those 3 assignments during the summer, I got rid of the one that I picked up, which was just the hourly, and wasn't with the company that gave me both assignments. And then I was just working those 2 assignments. I was getting paid daily, and then I was getting paid on a per claim basis, and that still was, I just had a lot of other stuff going on, right? So eventually, I just called them and I was like, hey. I thought I was still going to be able to balance both of these, but I'm not going to be able to balance both of these. I just want to be able to take one of them. And they let me pick. They was like, hey, okay, which one do you want to pick? Right. And it's so crazy because I didn't choose the one that was paying me $600 a day. Right. I chose the less paying job. I chose the lesser paying job. And I chose the lesser paying job at that time just because I needed more freedom, and less responsibility at the time. The money was still great, right, with the other one, but it was like, do I want extra money with the extra responsibility and whatever else come with it? Or do I want less bread with more just being able to be free and stuff like that? So when I asked them, I was like, hey, I'm not going to be able to do both. They asked me which one I wanted to. And they was cool as hell with it. And they even asked me why. She was like,
some open communication. Gotcha.
Yeah, very, very open communication, right? And she even asked me why. She was like, what made you choose she asked me, I guess she was confused. Like, what made you choose the lesser paying job? Right. And it was just that. I just let her know, like, okay, again, what fit my lifestyle, this is what I'm looking for. This one, I've worked both. I know this one requires a lot more of my attention than this one does. I know this one pays me more, but this one pays enough for me to still handle my bills, and it don't take too much away from me. But yeah, man. So when you talk about like cuts and stuff, right? So they can have, like, I've been on this assignment since October. So I don't know when it's going to end, right? Like at this point, I came in October. They originally said, like, hey guys, I think we're going to be here until, I think they said February. And then like December got here. They were like, hey guys, right now the end date is going to be April. So right now, like I have an actual designated end date, right? So, if nothing changes in terms of the metrics and like how many people they actually need, we're all set to be here until April 30th.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna
right
lead you
now.
right into cat season then too.
Well, you ain't got to tell. You don't understand. I'm already plotting and planning right now, right?
Bro, that's
I'm
yeah. I'm
already
about to.
plotting and planning right now.
Hey, that's what I'm trying to get a piece of because that's why I got my. Everybody's like, get it now because everything about to start hitting soon. So you want to start working on everything. I'm like, bro, you ain't got to tell me twice. Like, let's go.
Yeah, and being in this industry 5 years, this is one of the first times I've been this early in the season working. Right, like a lot of times, hell season will come around like March, February, something like that. But this is one of the first times, like come the beginning of January, like I'm full blown working. Like a lot of times I'll work, through hurricane season and then be off, during that wintertime span when it's like not a ton of
Hold
work and you
on,
just.
because that's what I didn't. I also don't be thinking about. So you said a lot of people talk about this like, oh, they'll work for like 9 months, take 3 off. People ain't used to that. Like,
Money management is big, man. Don't let that go over folks' head, man. Money management is key, right? Because if I'm gonna work for 8 months and take 4 months off, man, you got to be able to know what your 4 months off look like. You got to be able to have the funds to be off for four
yeah, because
months
you
and
ain't got
not be.
nothing. See, contract, it ain't like a regular job. You ain't got nothing coming in when you ain't working. So no, I
That's
understand. And man, that's crazy. So what you You don't really just do like hurricane season and then you just chill out?
it depends, man. But a lot of times, yeah, a lot of times I'm there working. If I can
Dang.
work during hurricane season, which every year hurricane season don't slap like that, right? Like I got my best friend. So I started doing this, right? My best friend was working. I forget where he was working. He was working at like some kind of call center or something. He working like 40 hours a week. He making like $15 an hour. I'm like, bro, you work 40 hours a week. You might as well come work 20 more hours and come make some bread. So then
Yeah, doing the same thing pretty much. Yeah.
I'm on the phone all day too. I'm like, what you doing? He was at a call center doing something. I'm like, you might as well come over and do this. So he got his license in 2019, but the 2019 hurricane season wasn't crazy, right? So like when he got his license in 2019, he was ready that summer to work, but we didn't have crazy major storms for him to just, like I said, like warm body and get some experience. So he ended up not working until 2020. Again, kind of the same thing like me, right? Where it's like, okay, I want to do this. I get my license, and then it's just, the work got to come. Like you said, we're an independent contractor, man. So it's got to be claims that need to be worked for there to be an assignment for you to be able to work on.
Okay. Okay. Now you mentioned something big, money management. Can you just kind of break down like that and taxes, things of that nature? Like what you suggest people start thinking about because a lot of people don't do the contract where they used to their 9 to 5, they're not used to be on the 1099
Oh
person.
man,
So can you kind of just break down real quick like some things people to think about when they start bringing in all this money? Because I mean, I know what it's like to get a lot of money and that lifestyle creep happen. So I'm sure it's the same situation for y'all. So can you just kind
yeah,
of break
man,
down what people need to be thinking about?
yeah, man. The lifestyle creep is real. So when everybody say like, because a lot of folks who jump into this, man, you go from not really making no bread to making a lot of bread, and then you go, your lifestyle creep up there, man. So
Yep.
you gotta evaluate yourself and look at what you're doing and try to make the best monetary decisions that you can. Cause again, like we don't this contract work, right? So I got off work today, but I could come in tomorrow. They could be like, hey guys, we actually don't need as many people as we need, and they can send me home tomorrow, right? And then that'll be it, right? It ain't no like me getting mad, like, oh, you ain't sent me home. Like, nah, it'll be like, oh, okay, send me home, and then at that point, my son's birthday later this month, I'll probably take the rest of the month off and just kick it and chill until I actually feel like, okay, let me try to go find some more work. But yeah, man, money management is key, man. You gotta know, you gotta plan. You really actually have to plan ahead of time. If you're gonna do this, just for the uncertainty part, right? Like you might get on assignment out, and this it's good and it's bad, right? You might get on assignment, and if you get on assignment, I think the longest assignment that I personally know anybody in my circle that has done it, I think it's probably like 15 months, right? Which is a very long time to work in assignment. Yeah. That's my Duke. Shout out to my Dukes for doing that. But I'm pretty sure she did something like 15 months, man. But in that 15 months, your lifestyle completely changed, right? So you go from like making whatever it was that you make into like consistently for 15 months making IA bread, right? So like in that time, you gotta self evaluate. You definitely got to be saving. I know you said talking about like expenses and stuff, right? So like if you go to the field, you definitely got to keep track of all of that, right? Like I went and worked Hurricane Ida in Louisiana, and I'm still working on getting my stuff together now for taxes. But whatever your expenses was, right? Like I drove my car out there, right? Like I had to stay somewhere out there, right? I had to pay gas while I was out there. I had to eat while I was out there, like all while I'm working. Like, so that's, you got to keep track and you got to know, what your actual expenses is, because that make a difference come tax time, man.
Okay. Now, also, I know you mentioned, everybody mentions this, a lot of people, smarter money management skills. They start talking about investing. Kind of, I know you got some stuff. You want to kind of just break down to people what you got that you investing in and stuff like that. Like, even if it's just something for your kids or like with those people that got families, or if it's just something personal that you got to generate you some cash flow. Because, I mean, that's something that people need to think about. And, if anything, this podcast got plenty of episodes y'all go listen to figure out something to invest in. But I just wanted you
Something
to
to put
kind
your
of
money
break
in.
down something that you got going on. I know I've had insurance just on the past. They was into like they bought mobile homes, they bought crypto. Like, what you got going on?
Yeah. So, actually in 2019, me and one of my best friends, we opened up a dealership.
Okay.
So we ran, simultaneously doing both, man. We was insurance adjusting and we was out here running a auto broker dealership, out of Gwinnett County, Georgia. In 2019, we did decent. I think we did close to like $100,000 in revenue. But this is where, when we talk about money management, we talk about like looking at everything, right? Like we opened the dealership in January 2019, right? So we ran the whole year 2019, right? And it was good. Like we did it, everything was fine. And then 2020 got here and everything got turned upside down, right? So that had to get put completely on the back burner, because everything was closed, right? Like the auctions was closed and everything was closed, right? So like that came to a screeching halt, like, okay, we got to stop right now. And then at that point, I won't say that we was, I will say that we was looking for an exit to get out of insurance adjusting industry at that point, right? Like we had, again, we had worked, both of us had worked at the dealership working with cars. We had seen behind the scenes, right? Like how much bread you make selling used cars, right? Like you get them for pennies on a dollar and turn around and make some bread on them. So, that was our go-to that we was going to do. And then, like I said, 2020 came and like literally just that wiped our entire, our entire system that we had out. And at this point, we ain't got it back. We haven't went back to like, hey, let's sit back down at the drawing board and try to put that back together. Like still to right now, right? Like we just sat back down and just got back to like, hey, let's just go get some more bread, go get our bread back up, and then get back to the drawing board. But man, you talk about investing, man. We definitely put money away, right? Like I've started putting money away for my kids.
Okay.
We did big stuff, right? Like we're always working. Like got the whip paid off, right? So like now we don't have as much overhead that we got to worry about, right? Like we try to stay cash positive, man. Not have too much debt, period, right? Because it's easier with that, right? Like I don't have a car note at all right now,
No,
right?
so
So
you
like,
just hit on something like right there.
yeah, right. Like
Them
that's
car notes and that insurance be adding up, and if you could eliminate that, like you can eliminate that, figure out a way to eliminate your housing. That make a big difference too, towards getting to financial freedom. Because not a lot of people be thinking financial freedom about being, making $1 million, but really, bro, it's just
it's a
having your
formula,
cash,
dog.
the income that you got coming in, just need to be greater than what your expenses are. And if that's the case, you financially free technically, which is why I see so many people preaching, house hacking, even paying off a car. Like a lot of people don't think it's a wise thing to do because everybody like to claim cars as liabilities. But shoot, I turned the car. I just had a Jeep, had them 7 months. I flipped that into me starting a cleaning business. So it's always ways to turn some stuff, like turn liabilities into assets. So just got to think. And I mean, even if you just paying off a vehicle, well, guess what? Now you got that car note you would have been paying. You can put that towards some investments. So a lot of people just take that in when y'all be thinking about, going to buy the designer, going to buy the nice foreign, whatever you want to do. Like you ain't got to do that. Like that'll come in time. Like right now, to me, honestly, we in our 20s, someone's in our 30s. Ain't no need to flex because honestly, don't nobody care what you really got unless you're trying to get out here and get on Instagram or YouTube and do lifestyle marketing and stuff. And you got plenty of time for that too. So I mean, I'm glad you hit on that because a lot of people don't even think about paying down the expenses they already got and just getting rid of them. So I'm glad you mentioned that. But I ain't about to take up too much more of your night, man. I know you've been working all day, but I do a talk to the culture segment at the end. I run off 5 questions, and then we can wrap this thing up. So the first question is, what does wealth look like to you?
I mean, I think what you just said. I think it's more a formula based. It's more a lifestyle, man. Like it don't got to be $100 million, $500 million. It don't got to be nothing like that, man. It's freedom, right? Like I got two kids now, and I done put in a lot of work in the last 5 years, right? So like for me, I want to be able to sit down with them, man. Like from here on out, right? Like at some point when Daddy not working his ass off like he is, like I want to be able to sit down with them and teach them everything that I done learned, right? So they ain't got to make the same mistakes that I done made, and be able to enjoy my time, and my health, and my quote unquote wealth, my bread that I done made with them, right? So like for me, it's more that, man. It's more being able to get my life back, right? Because like we all been supposed to be saying in the matrix, but we all be out here working, right? So to be working 50, 60, 70 hours a week for 5, 10, 15 years, man, that's a lot of your actual real ass time that you don't have. So like for me, it's just that, right? Like being able to get it back and being able to spend it how I want to, man, because I am here, right? Like I am at my desk. I've been at my desk all day, but is that where I want to be at? Like, hell no, that's not where I want to be at, right? But it's like one of them necessary evils. Like, we're going to handle business now. That way, like you said, I'm 28, I'll be 29 in May. By the time I turn 35, we're going to be kicking it somewhere.
Exactly, bro. And that's the thing. Like a lot of people don't understand. Sometimes you gotta live like no one else right now. So later on, you can live like no one else. Because I mean, if you put in the work right now, later on you could just chill and enjoy everything that you done put the work in for. I mean, like I say, some people say the life is too short. I like to live like life is long, man. You gotta be prepared for that because I feel like a lot of people say life is short to have an excuse for themselves to not be prepared. And so I want everybody to understand, like, sometimes life can be long, man. And so if it's gonna be long, you need to have a plan. And if you're just going out here messing off every day, that ain't gonna do nothing but mess you up in the end. In the long term, you're gonna have to be sitting there struggling. You have to go be at the Walmarts greeting people. And it ain't just because you're bored at the house, it's gonna be because that's you gotta bring in money still. And Social Security ain't gonna be around when we get old. So you gotta have some type of plan, bro. That's all I'm saying to y'all. But next question, bro.
Man,
Always
what No, I was just about to say what you said is key, dog, about life being long, man. When I went to Louisiana, like backstory a little bit, that was low key my first time going back home since we had moved away after Hurricane Katrina, right? So like going back and seeing my family, right? But like seeing my grandparents, like my papa was this man 84 years old, bro. And like ever since I got back from Louisiana, like I just been thinking like, damn man, if I live to be 84 years old, bro, I got a long, long, long way to go, man. Right. So like what you just said hit it right on the head, dog. Like life is short for some folks, man, but some folks live 84, 85, 90
no,
years
that's what I'm
old,
saying.
man.
Like people be
Right.
thinking that we be thinking we old, we be 28, 29, 30. And then you just think like, what if you doubled at it? What if you alive to
Man.
70? So that means you still gotta live this lifetime all over again and still some more time. So you gotta be prepared for that because most of us ain't nobody at this point in time, my generation ain't trying to work till we 65. So
For real.
most of us ain't doing that. So you gotta
And
have
it's
some
not
type
to
of
be
plan.
rude, but what you see, a lot of times, like you said, those people like Walmart greeters, like they don't be our age, they don't be 29 years old, they be folks who's older. And are some of them in there because like they bored and don't have nothing else to do? Maybe, but are some of them in there because like, hey, I actually need this check here? Like some of them is in there because they actually need this check, right? And like, I think most folks, you don't really want to be 70, 60, 50 years old, like needing with a capital
That's
N,
what I'm saying. By the time you
need,
get,
like,
to me, bro, by the time you get 40, you should be walking away doing whatever the hell you want to do with your life. And trust me, even if you started right now, if you're 30 years old and you start right now from 30 to 40, that's 10 years. That's a long time to get situated. I know people that, like, you could change the whole trajectory of your life in a year. You really could change it in a few months if you're willing to focus in. I know people that have switched to the tech industry and got a job within a year. I know people that got an insurance adjusting couple months in, they making more money than they ever made that first year. They see a six figures. They're like, dang, I didn't even know this was possible. Like, there's a lot of people that think at six figures is the end all be all, but sometimes no, you can do more than that. So just take that into account. But back to the 5 questions though. Second question, I always get a book recommendation from everybody. So you got a book recommendation for somebody?
Yeah, it's crazy you said that. I got one right here. Mindset by Carol DeWitt is a good one, bro.
Okay.
Like what you just talked about mindset, man. Just some folks is doers and some folks is talkers, man. You gotta be honest with yourself and figure out which one you is. And if you think you're a talker, you gotta figure out how to be a doer, bro. Because you could talk about it all day long, but like you said, when you get 50 years old, we're gonna see if you was actually talking, or we're gonna see if you was actually doing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now we tailor the black folks on here, man. So I always ask everybody to
I'm
come
in the
on.
right place.
I always ask everybody to come on. What is one thing you think the black community needs to improve on?
think this right here, bro, right? Like when I tell you it's more disheartening than anything to when I was in Phoenix to see so many white and families, like entire generations to be making this bread that we on here like wide-eyed about right now, right? And like realizing that like, hey, my grandparents ain't know nothing about this shit, right? Like my mom didn't know nothing about this shit till she was 40, right? Like I think that the actual conversation and open and honesty about bread, like how to get to it, like where it's at, like how to amass it for all of us, right? I think it's like in some folks' minds, it's like almost like a scarcity, right? Like, oh, I don't know if it's enough for everybody out there. Like, nah, it's enough and it's more than enough out here, right? So I think big part of it is that, man, like not being scared to dish the rock to somebody else with nothing, with no strings attached, with nothing else attached to it. Like, hey, here you go. Yeah, here. I don't care. I'm over here getting my bread. You can go do whatever you want to do with this information I give you because I'm over here working on this. Like, I think that's one of the big ones, man. Because like, man, you could change a lot. Like you just said, like change your life in 6 months. But like, imagine how many lives like we could actually change, right? Like if somebody had this conversation 15 years back, right? Like somebody said, because it ain't like this a new industry that just popped up 2 years ago, right? Like folks been doing this 20 years. So if we had folks in high schools, right, you go look at some of these black high schools and you go sit down, oh, we doing career day, like trying to, we got the military, like
I said, I be telling. There's a lot of found out about this. I know a bunch of people like got kids stuff, and I know like even young kids, getting out of high school. And I got a little sister, so I be like, bro, this is an avenue for you to take. If you don't want to go to college, you don't need no degree for this. And a lot
you
of people
can do this
realize,
and go pay for college if you want to.
I'm saying a lot of people you don't have like it's a whole lot of different routes you can take doing this stuff, man. And you ain't college. Like I'm the first to say, this come from a guy with 2 degrees. And I still don't think college was like the thing that I was supposed to go do. But I play ball, and then you got people outside that don't know what they don't know, telling you like, "Oh, you need to go to school, you need to get a degree." They don't think about, "Oh, you getting in the 5 figures worth of debt off rip if you ain't got no scholarship." Now you got to figure that out. But then you get out in the workforce, and 9 times out of 10, if you ain't in the right industry, you making pennies on the dollar compared to what you owe. So now you starting off already 10 steps behind from when before you got into school. You could have just went and got a job and just worked your way up. And so, most times been better off than what you was going to school and getting in debt. And don't get me wrong, college, use it as a tool, man. That's what I tell everybody that go. Don't just go partying cool and all. I done did it, man. Trust me, I experienced it. It's cool to go party and stuff, but bro, you got the rest of your life to party. So whatever route you take, if you choose IA, you choose college, whatever, just think about the opportunity cost there. Do you want to go pay a couple $100, take a Just a Pro course, get a license, get a couple certs, and start making some money in this? You want to go pay $60,000 and go to college because you ain't got a scholarship or no financial aid. But if you can go make $200K, yeah, it might be worth it. Just think about that when y'all be making decisions, like especially the kids out here, man, because a lot of us don't nobody tell us what's going on when we getting out of school. I know I ain't really had nobody. All you have is people telling you what they think make money, but they don't really know the ins and outs of what's going on. They just telling you what they think you should go do. But really, you got to understand, you got to know yourself. You got to know what makes the most sense for you. And it ain't always about what somebody else want for you sometimes. Sometimes you got to think about, hey, what's going to be best for my situation and know yourself. But the next question I got, bro, what's next for you, man? I like to ask everybody that. So when I look back on this vlog in like 2-3 years from now, I could be like, man, he said he was going to go do that. And now look at it, bro. Like, and I got proof right here on the podcast. I love getting this proof.
Dang. This man put me on the spot.
Oh yeah, I love doing this.
What's next for me, man? I don't know if like I said, I don't everybody like do their own thing. I don't know if I'll be like selling the course or nothing like this, man, but I would love to get a couple thousand people into this industry, man. And when I say a couple thousand, I'm talking like folks that's young, like folks that's like our age, that's like, don't have a way or don't see a way, like, because it's just too easy, man. It's at this point too, right? Like for me coming in 2017 to me seeing like how easy it is for folks to get their license and for them to send their equipment to your goddamn door and for you to just work. I'm like, at this point, it's really almost too easy. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, right? Like you hear people talk a lot about like racial wealth gap and all of this and that, man. But like, man, I feel like I'm sitting in a space right here, like that literally got the tools to be able to change like a whole bunch of people's life and trajectory, bro. So, as far as actual moves, man, next time I come back, I'm gonna share the moves. But in terms of actually like, I think more so just spreading the knowledge and the information of like the industry that I've been in to folks that ain't never even heard of it or knew about it or got no clue about it at all, to know like, hey, if all else hit the fan, you could come out here and make some bread and make a decent, great living for you and your family.
Okay, for sure. Now, we done talked about your story, but we done talked about your journey in this insurance adjusting. There's people that may want to get a hold of you. Some people may want to just follow your journey. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, man. Where can they find you, follow you, and all that?
Yeah, man. I'm like you. I'm new on Twitter, bro. So like, I probably had Twitter for like a long time, but I probably had never really used it. And then I ran across Steven. I don't even know how I ran across him, though. But I like ran across him, and then from running across him, I ran across a whole slew of folks that
bro,
was
I'm telling you,
in
that Slack group alone, 1,600 people, dog. I think it's like almost 1,700.
I'm telling you, and it fired me up more than anything, because I'm like, I've been out here, I got a small group of like my homeboy, like I got me, my mom got her license, my pops got his license, and my two closest homeboys got their license, right? So like the community of us who doing it is like really small, right? So like to get on there and see all of these folks that's like, oh, I'm about to go take my test. Oh, I just took my test. I'll tell you, I was so goddamn happy. I was like, I'm literally over here happy. I'm like, wait, you didn't tell me all these motherfuckers know about this? Like that shit. So every time I see somebody on there that's even thinking about doing it, I'll be happy. I'm like, ah. But now you really could just find me on Twitter, man. At Stillton Johnson, StillTheJohnsson, man. And I'll be, like I said, I'll be with the free game, man. So if you got any questions about insurance adjusting, getting your license or certifications or dang, you said that. I'm gonna be honest too. My mom actually started her own firm. This is I don't even know if she wanted me to say this on here, but she started her own firm.
That's crazy. That's dope.
Yeah, I don't know if I was supposed to say that right here, but she started her own firm. This is probably the same year that I was working those 3 assignments, so it's probably late 2020. Her and probably 2 or 3 other close adjuster friends like started their own firm. So maybe I do that, right? Like maybe I go help my mom get her firm off the ground, and then we be out here as some folks that's
all right, man. That's how I start, bro. That's how I start. But as y'all all know, his contact info will be in the show notes. I just want to thank you again, brother, for coming on, man. Appreciate you. Hey, you reached out. That's on me. Like I say, sometimes that time might not be the right time. When you just finally do link up, it's perfect time. So I just want to thank you again, brother, for coming on, dropping game, giving us a little bit of your time, man. Like I say, y'all hit this man up. Wealth of knowledge, been doing this for 5+ years. So at this point, I mean, this is probably one of the more experienced people I've talked to. Even I think Steven is like 5 years in the game. So y'all about the same as far as experience goes. So like I say, hit him up, man. If he's willing to help you, cool. If not, hey, y'all, I don't know what to tell you, but the man don't know me from nothing, and was willing to answer my questions. So at the end of the day, like y'all know, we always say on this podcast, man, we're good at success. If everybody around you is still struggling, each one reach one, each one teach one, man. It's another episode of Wealth for the Culture. I appreciate you again, girl, for coming on, man, and we out.
I appreciate you.